It was historic today. About 4 o'clock today, the entire Los Angeles got a text message. The text message says, everybody has to evacuate, pack your bags, leave, it's time to go. It's historic because I don't think, that I didn't Google it, I didn't go on Snopes, but you have the entire LA getting a message which is false, and the message is, you have to leave right now, you're in danger. And then within about 3 or 4 minutes, another message comes, sorry, oops, we sent you all the wrong message. And
sent in error.
And it's I think it's emblematic of what's going on right now, that there's a lot of false feelings. Yeah, this is in the disregard last evacuation warning. Sorry, exactly. One of my children was telling me that Tati, I'm really living through history. My son says to me, I'm really living through history. Like, I lived through COVID. I'm living through the fires. Living through a lot of history. And what's consistent in our lives is this change, where things that we thought are real switch around, and they turn out not to be real. That's something which my children grew up in, and often what happens is that you get very tired and you get very confused because you don't know what you can rely on. You don't know what's real and what's not. Tonight's shir, which is generously dedicated by Chayasar Basara Nishmas Ezra HaSofer, the anniversary of passing is today. We're going to address something which all of us deal with, and that is the idea of we all want meaning in our life. We all want to wake up in the morning and we want to prepare food for our children, go to school with excitement. We want to not just see life as a string of disconnected events, but to feel an excitement and a passion for everything that we're doing, to feel that what we're doing is part of a bigger picture, to feel the stream of life, the energy, the excitement. And one of the biggest challenges is that of this misinformation of things you think are real and they turn out to be real, and that makes you like not connected to who you really are. This is very in sync with tonight. Tonight is the 10th of Tevet, and it is the time when the Jewish people were encountered this terrible event where the king of Babylonia, Nebuchadnezzar, laid siege over Jerusalem. Laid siege means that he made a decree that no one can enter, no one can leave Jerusalem. And his intent was, he wanted to wear the Jewish people down. He wanted us to he wanted to wear us all down. And he thought that...
What's his name?
Nebuchadnezzar.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah. He thought by making the siege, we would run out of food, run out of supplies, and we'd be weaker. Instead of getting all of his armies to fight with us, even though their armies were far greater than our armies, but in every battle, you lose people. So he figured it'd be easier to make a siege, wear us down, and then eventually he'll go in and attack us as he did. But it took a lot longer than he expected. It took 30 months until the Jewish people were actually weakened, and he entered Jerusalem. It was on the 17th of Tammuz when the walls of Jerusalem were breached, and 3 weeks later, on the 9th of Av, that's when the temple was destroyed. So we have a fast day to commemorate each of these sad events. Tonight, the 10th of Tevet, the day the walls of Jerusalem were breached, the 17th of Tammuz, and the 9th of Av, the day the temple was destroyed. But what's unique about this fast, interestingly, is that this fast is the only one that, if it were to fall on Shabbat, as it did between the first and second temple, people fasted on Shabbat. When the 17th of Tammuz falls on Shabbat, we don't fast on Shabbat. 9th of Av falls on Shabbat, we don't fast on Shabbat. The only fast that's done on Shabbat is a biblical fast, the fast of Yom Kippur. But these rabbinical fasts are never pushed off Shabbat, but this one does. And the reason it does, the simple reason is because this was the beginning of the calamities. This was the starting point. This was the starting point of all the calamities. So therefore, it's considered more of a terrible day because it began a lot of negative things. But conversely, because it is such a weighty fast, it's also considered a time of unique divine grace. I mean, Beryl, can you turn that off, or just turn the volume off?
Okay.
Because it's a time of, because it's such a time of, it's such an important fast that pushes off Shabbat. That's why this day is also a day where it's a unique time of divine grace. And every day of a fast is not just meant to be a time to commemorate something bad that happened. It's always about something that has to do with us in now in the present. I mean, something wasn't corrected then, and we're meant to correct it now. And correcting it now is what will make the change that we're all looking for, the real change. So what was going on then? What was going on then was the Jewish people were in a state of discord. They weren't getting along with each other, and they were fighting. But not in a way of like punching each other, but more of a subtle way. There was more of the tight smiles and the silent treatment, senseless hatred, inner discord, inner hatred. And the purpose of this event of the king of Babylonia coming to Jerusalem was meant to lift us up. That's why the Hebrew word for approach, the king of Babylonia approached Jerusalem. The Hebrew word for approach also means to support. It was meant to lift us up to a different place. How would it lift us up to a different place? How does the king of Babylonia making a siege upon Jerusalem elevate us? So I was thinking about what's going on in LA today. You know, you walk out of your house, you look to the right, and you see beautiful clear skies. You look to the left, what do you see? You see fire, smoke, destruction. Ordinarily, when we hear about people's misfortune, it's easy to ignore it because there are a lot of other things going on. We could look at the clear skies that are where the grass is greener instead of looking at the other person's dealing with a very hard situation. But when you're breathing the air, as we all are breathing this air, so then you are more aware of the misfortune of people nearby, and that's why it's a lot easier for us to relate to those who are really going through a hard time and to open our hearts and wallets to be there for them because we're all in this together. We feel we're in this together. In a similar way, the purpose of the siege around Jerusalem was to bring everyone together. It's kind of like therapy, where a family is not getting along. What does the therapist say? Everybody, let's lock yourselves into this room. Nobody leave until you guys figure this out. So that was the purpose of the siege around Jerusalem. Everybody stay in this room, stay in the city, and look at each other, and see each other, and hear each other, and notice each other, be sensitive to each other. That was the purpose of it. It was meant to lift us up to that place. And that's what I think, clearing the air. We're all concerned about the air. Some of us, like myself, we just got the new breath air purifier thingy, but it only works inside the house. Maybe it doesn't even work inside the house. What about outside the house? And there is a power of saying words of Torah that purifies the air. But I think in the spirit of the 10th of Tevis, if permit me to say another interpretation, just clear the air between each other. Clear the air. There are people we haven't cleared the air with. And the reason why this happens, the senseless hatred, is because, again, we're going through a lot of changes, a lot of different things, and we start becoming suspicious, we start becoming picky, we start becoming anal, we start becoming small-minded. And the purpose of the 10th of Tevis is to clear the air, is to let go of the differences and to bring Mashiach. The destruction was because of senseless hatred, and the goal of today is to bring Mashiach. So on that note, I wanted to directly address this idea. Roberto, please take it outside. Directly address the idea of burnout, of how to deal with this phenomena. We're going and going and going, and then we're not feeling any meaning in what we're doing, which is we're hearing a lot of noise, hearing a lot of false messages, and we're not getting to the real message, the real voice inside of ourselves. It's not resonating. So how do we get there? So look at this week's Torah portion. This week's Torah portion talks about the last days of Yaakov's life, Jacob's life, and Yosef brings his two sons to Jacob to bless his sons. He puts his two sons in front of Yaakov. He puts his older son Menashe on Yaakov's right, put his younger son Ephraim on Yaakov's left. And what did Yaakov do? Remember Eliyahu? He puts his hands, he crosses them like an X. He puts his right hand on the younger son, and he puts his left hand on the older son. And Yosef doesn't know what's going on. Yosef is like, Dad. He gently tries to move his father's hand. Dad, this is the older son. Put your right hand on his head. And Jacob tells Yosef, I know my son, I know he's the firstborn. He'll also be great, but his younger brother will be even greater. So this leaves us with a bunch of questions. I mean, first of all, Hashem made the firstborn son to be the firstborn son. He is the firstborn. And Yaakov himself doesn't say, oh, you stand on the left because you're smaller, because you're younger, because you're less than. You still stand on the right. He's still keeping the firstborn on the right. And yet he's putting his hand over to put his right hand on the left. What's going on? If he felt that this was the wrong order for whatever reason, then tell him to switch places. And why is it that if the younger brother is meant to be greater, why wasn't he born first? If he is greater, then why was he born second? What does that mean? Who is Menashe? Who is Ephraim? And why is it, interesting thing, why is it whenever we bless our children, you know what we say to our children? Some people bless their children once a year, before Yom Kippur. Some people bless their children every Shabbat. Everyone blesses their children by their wedding. Have you ever seen that? You ever seen the parents come before on a wedding and they go over to their children? Parents of both sides come to the groom and bride and they bless them. It's a beautiful thing. They're blessing them, as they're beginning of their journey. It's a beautiful thing. So what's a blessing we give our children? May you be like Ephraim and Menashe. Why like Ephraim and Menashe? What's so good about Ephraim and Menashe? Why not, may you be like Abraham, like Isaac, like Jacob? They're our forefathers. There are 12 tribes. Ephraim and Menashe are 2 of the tribes. But why like Ephraim and Menashe? The fact that Yosef wanted to stop his father, that we understand. Yosef had seen in his own life how favoritism to one brother isn't a good thing. Yosef saw how when God made the world, how Cain and Hevel, how they had discord. Yosef saw how his grandfather Yitzchak and his brother Esav had discord. You saw how Yishmael and Yitzchak and Yaakov and Esav, he saw all of this discord. And in his own life, he saw that his father gave him the coat of many colors, and how that caused problems in his own life, where his brothers are selling him to slavery, they're all jealous of him. So therefore, when his father comes, please wash, it's kosher today. It's kosher, please take one. Okay. So when he sees his father favoring the younger brother, he's like, oh no, this is going to repeat things. I know this is a bad idea. I've seen this movie before, more than once and twice and 3 times. This is not going to end well. And that's the blessing we give our children. The blessing we give our children is Ephraim and Menashe did get along well. They were best of friends. Despite the fact that Menashe was given a lesser role than his younger brother, which, by the way, today in psychologists say the same thing. They say that a lot of times the oldest brother has like a chip on his shoulders because he's supposed to be the best, but then his little brother's cuter, his little brother's smarter, oh, look at the little boy. And a lot of times the older brothers have a chip on their shoulder because of that. I'm an older brother, but I'm okay. Anyways, I've recovered. I'm an older sister. Either way, so I'm not completely the oldest. Either way, getting back to our subject over here. So that's the meaning of Yaakov saying to Yosef's children, and that may the Jewish people bless their children and say to them that you should be like Ephraim and Menashe. You should have love for each other. The greatest satisfaction the parents have is when they see their children getting along with each other. That's the greatest happiness parents can have. That's why before we begin to pray every morning, the first thing we do is we say the words, I accept upon myself the mitzvah to love my fellow like myself, because the greatest satisfaction Hashem has is when He sees us getting along with each other. So before I'm going to ask Hashem for anything, I need to do something that Hashem will give Hashem pleasure, so He'll be open to hear what I'm asking Him for. I want to create a time of divine grace. I want Him to be open to listen to me. How do I create a time of divine grace? By doing the mitzvah of loving your fellow like yourself, by the love we have for each other. That's what opens Hashem up to all of our requests. That's why we begin the day every morning with, I accept upon myself the mitzvah of loving my fellow like myself. Okay, so that's one explanation. I want to share with you a deeper explanation that will give us insight into the question we asked about burnout and meaning in life. A lot of times you find people who are striving for something, and when they get it, they become depressed. They're striving to get a degree for 4 years, a degree in college, then they go on to get a doctorate, and they get it, they're happy for like a day or 2 or 3 or 4 or a week, and then they fall into this depression. They're trying to get this this thesis finished. They finish it and then completely depressed. Or they're trying to buy this car. They want to buy this Tesla. They want to buy this G-Wagon. They want to buy something. They buy it depressed. They buy a house. They're looking to buy their dream house. I want to buy my dream house. They buy the dream. They get the dream house. And after they get the dream house, depression. Why is that? Why is it that they buy these amazing things and they achieve what they wanted to achieve? It seems they're looking for years to achieve this. All of a sudden, when they get it, completely upset, burnt out. What's going on? Yeah.
Is it like marriage? Because in marriage, a couple gets married, and then they find out who they are, each of them are, and then you have to start being happy and making your wife happy, and you start from.
Right, but I think it's just stop there.
Nothing that can fill that hole.
I'm sorry for my condolences.
No.
I think there's nothing that can fill that hole inside. I even have a friend who's married. He said, I still have
That you have a purpose and you reach your goal, and then you don't know what your purpose is anymore because you reached your goal.
I'll tell you what it is. What it is like this. The reason people get depressed is because they're trying to satisfy someone else's script. They're looking at their surroundings, looking at what other people are saying. This is what you should do. You should go to college. You should get a job. You should get a degree. You should do this. You should get a house. And so it's like, imagine an actor he's playing the part in this movie of being the happiest, most fulfilled person, and then he takes off the clothing. That wasn't him. That was someone else, right? Similar way, people are live their lives like an actor. They're trying to live someone else's life. Of course, they're not satisfied living someone else's life. Why be satisfying your life with someone else? It's not who you are. So the issue is that they're setting goals for themselves, not really their own goals. They're living with someone else's goals. Of course, they're not satisfied. It wasn't my goal. So this is imagine trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it. It's not going to help. No matter how much water you put in, there's a hole in the bucket. You're saying there's a hole, right? So Yosef HaTzadik, with his children, he gives us the answer of how to deal with this issue. What's really going on? Yosef HaTzadik tells us how to educate our children. He had surprising success in educating his children. Think about it. His children were born in Egypt. They weren't born in some ghetto, some Jewish insulated environment. They were born in Egypt, in the culture of Egypt. And he was the monarch. He was running the whole show, and despite that, they were perfectly righteous. So he probably has a tip for us on how to educate our children. But more than educate our children, we're also doing all these changes. We're also dealing with all this confusion around us. So he probably has a tip for us on how to deal with all of the confusions going on around us, and to have integrity and to be true. So what's his tip? What's the way he dealt with this, and what's the way that we could not just have our children behave or ourselves behave, but inside to actually not just to walk the walk and talk the talk, but actually inside of ourselves to be who we're meant to be. So let's look at Yosef. What did Yosef do? What was Yosef's trick? What was Yosef's secret? Yosef has his firstborn son. His firstborn son's name is Menashe. Menashe, he's called his son Menashe because he said, Hashem has caused me to forget my father's house. What does that mean? Yosef he missed his father's house, only because of the love he got in his father's house and the warmth he got in his father's house. He missed his father's house because of the values that he cherished, that he was brought up on. He missed the holy environment of his father's house. He missed the holy environment, and not just the love and the warmth, but the holiness and the goodness that was permeating it, the light of Hashem that permeated the environment. He missed that. He didn't want to forget that. So he called his son by a name which means to forget. Menashe means to be taken out of a place, to be moved away, to be forgotten. He named his son Menashe because he wanted, whenever you should call his son's name, I'll remember I'm in a place that will make me forget my identity. And that's how he remembered his identity. By calling his son Menashe, he was consistently remembering, I better not forget where I come from. I better not forget who I am. And this is how we are able to live with passion and enthusiasm, is by remembering and thinking about where we come from and who brought us here. is by thinking about how Hashem has chosen me to be here in this world. I didn't choose to be born. I didn't choose to be here. I heard about this guy, it's an Indian guy who sued his parents. How dare you bring me into the world? You heard this before?
Yeah.
So, we didn't choose to be born, it's true. Hashem chose us to be born. Why did he choose us to be born? Because it's something that he wants us to do. There's a mission we have to do in this world. So when we think about the real goal of what we're doing in this world, we really think about the who put us in this world, with the circumstances that we're in, with the talents that we have. So then we're filled with different kind of energy. When we think about the real why of all the what's that we do, the real purpose of it all, that gives us different kind of energy. The last thing we do every day, we're supposed to do, at the end of the day, is to make an accounting of what we've done this day, what we've done in this day. After making the accounting, we say to Hashem these words: in your hand, I give you my spirit. The simple meaning is, I'm going to sleep, I'm giving you my soul, please take care of it, and please give it back to me tomorrow morning. I'm giving you my spirit. But it also means, I'm giving myself over to you, Hashem. I recognize that I'm here because of a reason that you, Hashem, want me to accomplish in this world, and I am giving myself over to you. When you give yourself over to Hashem and to Hashem's mission, those three words, Biyodcha Af Keruchi, they're an acronym. They're an acronym that spell the word Be'er. Be'er means a wellspring of life, a wellspring of living water, a living life. Sometimes you go to sleep and you wake up in the morning, you're full of energy. Sometimes you're not. One of the best things to give you energy the next day, the source of life, the source of energy is devoting yourself to Hashem. That's the source of energy. When we get in touch with the real why of why we're here, that fills us with energy. Imagine this. I saw this today actually. This guy was pushing the car. He's pushing the car until they got the car started, right? The difference in pushing the car and the car going by its own energy. When you're living your life because of everybody else, right? So you're pushing your car, and it's very hard to push this big car. And you're just pushing it, and the car's not going by. But when you get the motor started, the car is just going by itself. The car is on. So in a similar way, when we stop and we think about the why of who we are and where we come from, and how Hashem has uniquely placed us exactly where we are, and we stop and we think about that, and Hashem has given me these specific circumstances and this specific role exactly where I am, that gives us and animates us. We get fully animated. Not only do we get animated, it also helps us make decisions. It helps us make decisions because, let me say it very simply. When we're being angry, we're not living with ourselves. When we're being jealous, it's not us. That's not who we really are. Who we really are a part of Hashem, that Hashem has put in the world to accomplish something. When you do an act of kindness to somebody, it's not just you did something physical action. You've fulfilled the purpose of Hashem bringing you into this world to bring light to the world. You're living now with the real why of why you're here. So of course you feel alive, because you're living in sync with the why of why you're here. But on the other hand, when you forget about that and you start getting petty and start focusing on a lot of stuff that you want to get, of course you feel depressed and empty, because that's not the why, it's not who you are. So the decisions we make can seem confusing. Should I do this? Should I do that? But then you just think about, but what's the value here? What's the real value? What am I trying to achieve? If you stop and you think about who you are and where you come from and your mission here from Hashem, that animates all different faculties that you have. It animates you to be kinder. It animates you to want to pray to Hashem. It animates you to want to study Torah. You realize I'm not just studying information. I'm bringing God's wisdom into my mind. I'm fulfilling a purpose over here. So this is the name of Menashe. I'll tell you a story to bring this home. There was a Jew who started a preschool and a school in Jaffa. His name was Uri Ben Shachar. One of his students said the following story. He said this teacher, he had this item that the Rebbe had given him. I think it was some honey cake, and he had it in this glass cabinet. This glass cabinet in his office. And these boys are like, let's just take the cake, This is his thing, let's just take it. And they went into the office one day, and as they're trying to take it, it was behind something. They knocked down the cabinet, crash, the whole thing is full of glass. Just then, as if on cue, who comes in? The principal, Uri Ben Shachar, comes in, sees these two boys who've just ruined his glass cabinet, nice. What's the word? Not a cabinet. Like we put china into and you present it. What's that called? Like a
China cabinet.
China cabinet. Yeah.
A curiosity case.
For them, that's what it was. So Uri ben Shachar, what does he do?
A display case.
Display case, yeah. Display. So what does he do? He walks over to them. He says, "Put your heads down." They thought for sure, what's he going to do to them? He's going to slap them up. That's what was done in those days. That was legal in those days, by the way. Put your heads down. They put their heads down. He puts his hands on their heads, and he says, "May Hashem bless you and protect you. May Hashem make you like a Ephraim and Manasseh. May Hashem allow your good inclination, Yetzer Tov, to always win over the evil inclination." Is that what's going on over here?
Okay.
Is that what's going on? Here, these boys acted in a way that's not good, right? But what does he see as an educator? He lifts them up. He lifts them up to be. They know they made a mistake. The glass broke. They know this was not a good move. He just walked in. They don't need to be told it was not a good idea. What they need to be told is that there's still something good inside of you, that you have a reason to be here. He connected them with their deeper self. For the rest of his life, this boy still talks about today how that blessing he gave him. May Hashem bless you and protect you. May Hashem shine His countenance upon you. He realized the evil inclination is a source of destruction. The godly soul, the neshama, the Yetzer Tov, is the source of goodness. I should be myself. I should be who I really am. I should let the good inside me win. It changed his whole perspective of himself. There's a way to also give this to our kids. A lot of times, parents, when they see their kid, like let's say you see your son clean the table. That's such a good job cleaning the table. It's one way to give a compliment. Or you see a child sing a bracha nicely. What a nice bracha you said. You're just complimenting the action. But imagine if instead of just complimenting the action, you went back to the source. You said to the child, I see the kindness that you have, that you took the job off of mommy's shoulders and you cleaned the table. I see the responsibility that you had and you cleaned your room. You're just a responsible person. You take responsibility. Instead of just complimenting the action, you're able to bring the child to realize the goodness that they have inside of themselves. You're able to make the child aware of who they really are inside and to make them know that the mistakes that they make don't define them. That's not who they are. That's the idea of Menashe. Menashe is about remembering where we come from. Menashe is about remembering who we really are inside. That's Menashe. There was a tzaddik named the Blushever Rebbe. He was a Holocaust survivor. He was in Auschwitz. The night of Hanukkah, some of the inmates in his barracks found some things to use to light the menorah. A little bit of butter, a little bit of a shoelace, and when the Nazis left the barracks, they got it together and they lit the menorah. So as the Rebbe, he was honored to say the bracha. So he makes the first bracha. Blessed are you, Lord our God, King of the universe. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivonu lahadlik ner Chanukah. Second blessing, who has performed miracles for our forefathers in those days at this time. Okay. What's the third blessing? The third blessing is Shehechiyanu v'kimanu v'giyanu lizmanaz. Blessed are you, Lord our God, who has given us life and sustained us and allowed us to reach this occasion. Before he said this blessing, he stopped, he looked around, and then he said, Baruch atah Hashem k'mechalim. Thank you, Hashem, for giving us life and allowing us to reach this occasion. He lights the menorah, and one guy goes over to him and says, how do you say such a thing? Allowing us to reach this occasion? You're happy about this occasion? You're happy about this time? You're thanking God for reaching this time? So Blushever Rebbe said an amazing thing. He said, I want to tell you, when I got up to this blessing, I stopped. I didn't want to say it if I didn't mean it. But I stopped and I looked around. And I see that despite the fact that everyone in this room has gone through all these incredible tragedies that are so shocking, and yet they're here for the menorah. They're here lighting the menorah. They're here something that it's extraordinary. It shows that no matter what's going on in their life, they are coming to the menorah. No, unfortunately, thousands and thousands of people lost their homes, lost everything. But the Blushever Rebbe, he said, That's why I'm saying Shechiyonu. I'm saying Shechiyonu because I'm seeing that despite everything, it's clear who we really are, who we come from. That no matter what we've lost, we still are connected. Nothing can take that away. That's eternal. That's real. That's infinite. That's Menashe. Menashe is remembering where we come from, remembering who put us in these circumstances and why we're here. But that's only the one son of Yosef. His second son's name was Ephraim. Ephraim means to be fruitful. Ephraim means to be impactful. It's nice to know where you come from. It's nice to know who you really are inside. But then there's about actually making an impact, about taking those theoretical ideas and doing something with them. So Menashe is about remember where you come from, remember who you are, living deeper, living real. But Ephraim is about rolling up your sleeves, thinking about a practical idea. Like today we had the library was open, Baruch Hashem. Why was the library open? I was thinking, of course, the library has to be open. People, the schools are out. But my friend Nir had this great idea. Let's bring a balloon maker to the library so the kids will want to come. Oh, that's Ephraim. That's practical. All right, let's keep it open. It's my idea. It comes from authentic value. It's real value. But you need an Ephraim guy who says, let's figure out how to do this, man. Let's make this impactful. Let's make this alive and make the kids want to come. If you just have Menashe without Ephraim, you're not going to make an impact. It's just a theory. But on the other hand, if you only think about the practical, but you don't know the why you're doing anything, then what are you going to do? You're not going to know what to do even. You're not going to know what way to go. So you have to have, on the one hand, the Menashe, remember where you come from. On the other hand, it's not sufficient to know where you come from. You have to have a practical plan. What am I doing with where I come from? So who's first? The first step is Menashe. Yaakov doesn't change their order. Yaakov says the first son is Menashe. The first thing you have to know is where you come from. You have to know your values, and you have to know where you come from. You have to think about who put you in this world and why you're here, and live deeper. Live within, and that will put spring in your step, knowing where you come from. On the other hand, who's the main son? What's the main purpose of while we're here? Why we are here is to make an impact, to actually do something in this world, to make a change. And therefore, the main child of Yosef is Ephraim. That's the goal. The goal is that there should be an impact. The goal is the Mashiach should come. The goal is we should bring Hashem's light to the physical world in action. So bottom line is, a lot of noise, a lot of false messages. We're going to make another text message tonight. But hopefully, instead of a text message, I'm hoping to hear the shofar tonight. That the shofar is a real message. We know that's the reality. Everyone in Los Angeles gets false messages. We saw it today. But the real message is, the 10th of Teves tells us to let go of our differences, to clear the air between each other, and to prepare for the message of the great shofar that Hashem will sound, which we see happen tonight. Mashiach Tzidkeinu. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. Let's clear the air between each other. Let's live deeper. Let's not let these petty things separate us. And l'chaim Mashiach now. L'chaim Urach. Uri Ben Shecher.
Oh, you already said it?
Bezalel Fleischman's? Which Bezalel?
Yeah.
No, Bezalel Fleischman. Bezalel, the one who built the Mishkan, Bezalel Ben Uri. Thank you very much. Makes sense, Beryl? You agree with me?
Yeah.
Okay. Beryl agrees with me. We're going in the right direction. Chaim Urach.
Yeshua ben Nun is from Ephraim or Menashe?